Unless you've been living under a rock, it's clear that each candidate has been out and fighting for your vote. And that is the same thing that they're doing here at Delaware State University. I'm Morgan Poole with WDSU-TV here in the Bank of America building for the Lieutenant Governor's Candidate Forum. Let's step inside and see what they're up to.
Over 100 people, filled with students and members of the community, showed their support for this highly anticipated event. The floor was open to the people as they addressed many issues affecting their communities.
I've had a one-on-one conversation with each candidate to understand their different views on different topics. My first question was, what are your priorities for the state of Delaware for the next administration?
What we're looking at are the economics. The next administration will obviously be looking at jobs. Also, our employment and health structure. We have a lot of issues around employee health, and we also are going to be facing not only the budget, but also we're going to be looking at issues that affect us every day. As a nurse myself at the University of Delaware and working out in the trenches in the community, I'm hearing from constituents a lot about mental health and substance abuse. We put a lot of energy into the heroin epidemic. So again, if you think about it, the health of Delaware.
First and foremost is dealing with the crime issue in Wilmington, particularly the violent crime rate, and in Dover. Also, the public education system is going through especially in Wilmington and Newcastle County, is going through a whole evaluation and upheaval right now. Those are two big issues that the next administration is going to have to address. And the third thing is the budget. It's going to be very difficult. There's going to be lean times again like there have been, and we have to continue to work to reduce our expenses and still deliver the services that people need.
I would focus on job creation and retention. Going up and down the state in every county every day, and including Wilmington, most people either need a job, are looking for a job, or maybe they want to advance in their job, can't find a job, don't have the opportunity or the skills to get the job. So that's very important. People need to provide for their family. They need that sense of pride, if you will. And they are people out there looking for those opportunities, and that's what my platform is about, is providing opportunities for all Delawareans.
The first thing has to be first, which is getting that budget balanced and taking care of that so that we don't leave a burden on the people moving into the next regime. That's what I think. And in addition to the budget, if we do the first thing, the next thing I look at is the heroin epidemic. The heroin epidemic is impacting every individual family throughout this state. And I think that we need to do a lot more education. We need to make sure that our treatment facilities stay open. We need to stop incarcerating at such a high rate, because a lot of times what you need to realize is that when we incarcerate one individual, it costs us over $33,000. But yet here we are, we're only spending, to educate one youth, we're paying about $14,000. I think that's a grave disparity.
Why I'm running for Lieutenant Governor is to tackle one of the state's most pressing problems, and that is the issue of aging. We are aging in the state at an alarming rate, and the costs to aging, the costs not just to the state but to society in general, are the reason that we can't spend more on our youth and young people, the reason we don't have as much job opportunity as we want, the reason why we can't help you with student debt. We can deliver better care to our older Delawareans while cutting the costs in half. When we cut those costs, guess what we're going to do? Guess what Cyril wants to do? I want to take that savings and reinvest it in you, and reinvest it in you, into our youth and young people.
I believe that the main priorities are education, criminal justice, job creation, and environmental justice. I believe that our educational system has failed our young people, and that we really need to do a better job of educating our babies so that we don't have to worry about putting them in the criminal justice system on the back end. Environmentally, people who live in homes that ends in mobile park, they don't have a very good water quality. But those who live in Wilmington, the water quality, the number is 15, and that's parts per billion, ppb. So that's the magic number set by the EPA. Wilmington is at 4.02. Dover, I believe, is at 4.0. And then every place that ends with mobile park, they have too much lead and too much copper in their water. So I definitely will be fighting for environmental justice.
My second question was, personally, what are your priorities for education?
Education is near and dear to my heart. Number one, not only because I am a professor in higher education, but I'm a mom. And I've had our child go through the public system and through the community system. And, you know, in education, it is the largest budget portion we have in our state, and it's well invested. I've been so pleased to sponsor higher education, such as the Inspire, to be able to pay back student loans. I've been extremely pleased to also work with, from the early age on, to make sure we had kindergarten, full day, early education, because it starts young. So again, from an education perspective, making sure our children learn and flourish, making sure that children are safe when they leave our schools, not faced with violence in the community, which we see in some of our suburban and city areas. And I will continue to work to champion continued stronger education opportunities.
So instead of having one great public education system, right now we have a hodgepodge of charter schools, public schools, private schools. And Wilmington just put a moratorium not too long ago, not Wilmington, the legislature put a moratorium on opening new charter schools in Wilmington, because the city of Wilmington has more charter schools per capita than any other place in the United States. And what's happening is students are getting funneled from the public schools and into these charter schools and private schools, and the public schools are suffering, and they don't have the resources they need, and it creates a disparate educational system. I have 3 children in the Capital School District, public education here in Dover, and we see some of that here. And so I want to continue to make our public education system, you know, the best, that people want to go to that instead of a charter school.
For education, I believe that all children should have the same fair, level playing ground for education, and I believe it starts at a very young age. And we're doing a good job. The new before school program and meals and after school program and care and nurturing and maybe some activity or an environment where it's conducive for some extra homework help. All these programs are wonderful, and they're very needed because we have working families out there that sometimes are so busy with an extra job they simply don't have the time to help the child or the student. But I believe it needs to be fair and it needs to be equal for all students in Delaware.
As I said earlier, is early childhood development. It starts as really basically as the infant comes out of the womb. We have to nurture and we have to train and teach when they're at 18 months old. Why? Because we have to make sure those social skills are there. A child cannot get an education unless they know how to properly interact with the social requirements when they get to school. And that has hurt a lot of families that do not have the appropriate structures, support structures there. Now, we have these readiness teams throughout our state. I sit on the readiness team in Milford, and what it does is it gives those particular families the necessary tools in their toolbox to help their children to be able to navigate those particular problems. Because once we get the social issues taken care of, then we have an opportunity to properly educate, and then they can benefit from the education that they receive.
Last night, as an example, I was with a number of principals and teachers. And when I spoke with them, guess what? I'm hearing the same thing as when I speak with teachers throughout the state. And so their priorities are my priorities. They want more teachers. We need more teachers. That way we get the classroom size down. In one school district, I was teaching with a teacher again last night who says, Ciro, I teach 4th grade. And my class starting size was 39 students. 39 students. It was 6 weeks before that number got down. So more teachers, smaller class size. And then the second thing that teachers are telling me is enough with the standardized tests, enough with the tests. We're doing too many tests. I get that. And so as Lieutenant Governor, I'm going to just be championing what the teachers want. More teachers, fewer tests.
One of the main things we need to do is work on the abolition of HB 85, and that's House Bill 85, and that's the zero tolerance policy bill. That's the bill that has been sending children from the schoolhouse to the jailhouse. We need to be sending children from the schoolhouse to the college house. And so we need to really revamp that whole dynamic so that our babies aren't going to jail, but our babies are being educated and becoming productive citizens.
Delaware State University is an HBCU, Historical Black College University. Compared to the University of Delaware, HBCUs are struggling for federal and state money. What are your priorities for the specific university?
Your institution's done a fine job of leaning in on the next generation of learning. I know recently you've had cuts to programs, but I know the intent is there and you've grown. Delaware State has grown enrollment by 10% compared to other institutions. I stand hand in hand anytime your university comes down to Dover, sitting on the bond committee, not only for your new optics research center, but new science jobs, having opportunity for workforce, whether it's sports management, allied health, nursing, to really invest so that when people graduate from here, that they actually have a job. And that when they graduate from here, they can go on and continue their education or go into the trades, whatever it might be.
I think it's very important to find the resources to support this historic college. As a levy court commissioner for Kent County, we actually give some funding. It's not a lot. It's about $25,000 a year to Del State and to Wesley and to the University of Delaware Cooperative Extension here in Delaware. So it's an equal amount. And I just read in the paper how DSU is cutting a lot of their programs. So, you know, if there's more funding that needs to happen, we need to find ways to do that. And I'd be happy to be part of that conversation.
I would fight for education for Del State. I would fight for funding for Del State. There's wonderful science and technology programs here, wonderful students. You are our future. We've had many leaders come out of Del State, and one sitting in the Senate and one sitting in the House, and we're just honored at the building next door tonight. So I believe that you at Del State are our future, and we need to make sure we provide funding to keep that education going, and then we want you to get jobs and stay here in Delaware. We want to keep that talent here.
The most I can do is be an advocate for you all. I think that the HBCUs are very important throughout our nation. And you would have an advocate with this Lieutenant Governor to assist you in trying to increase funding for not just for your institution, but for all the colleges.
My priorities are to make sure that you have as many resources as absolutely possible. All right, so now how can Ciro, if you're Lieutenant Governor, how can you do that, okay? And this is again why I'm running for Lieutenant Governor, because in Newcastle County, all right, in Newcastle County, I came on a position no one's ever even heard of. I got elected to be the Register of Wills. You have no idea what the Register of Wills is. But I said, just give me a chance and I can make a difference. And from that platform of being elected official, I helped the county generate $2.33 million in found money, simply by going out and collecting what was due to the county. Now, I've worked with the state finance. They're my mentors in many ways. I'm anxious to get the baton to be the Lieutenant Governor because I know if I can get up there, I can help the state collect more and more money. So when this university comes to the legislature, this university comes and says, we need more help, we need more resources, there'll be plenty of money to go around.
Well, being a byproduct of an HBCU, I went to University of Delaware for undergrad, but Howard University for grad school. So I understand the importance of the education, the quality of the education at a HBCU. I probably would not be the person that I am today had I not attended an HBCU. So it is imperative that our state government does a really good job, and our federal government does a good job of making sure that we are educating children at the HBCUs, because some of the best and the brightest have come from HBCUs. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor, aren't I?
This forum was all about making sure that you, the voter, understand each candidate's views. So make your pick and go out and vote. I'm Morgan Poole with WDSU-TV. See you next time.